Today, let's talk about if gold should be replacing bonds in your portfolio. So I want to start off by saying I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. I'm just a random guy on the internet who likes talking about gold and silver. I've been thinking a bit lately about the yield curves and everything. I wanted to make a video on whether basically gold replacing bonds in my portfolio, because the yields are so low and everything. Before I get into all of this and all the reasons why I made that decision, I want to start off by saying I'm going to have a 750 subscriber giveaway coming up. Please subscribe and stay tuned for that. I've also have a giveaway, links on the screen right now, that's going on right now. You guess the weight of a beaver that I poured, not this one here, but one of these, without the base or anything. And yeah, you can be entered to win this round. You do a shout out for it, email me a link, win Maple just by doing a shout out. Not a whole lot of entries for the shout out, so it's good odds of winning. Trevor's gonna do one for that. Gold has basically replaced bonds in my portfolio. I'm not really into bonds. I don't really see anything that attracts me to them. It's basically a diversification play. I'm not really caring too much to diversify into bonds. I don't really see how it's going to prevent risk or anything. I just don't really get it. I see gold as a much better way to diversify and not take on a whole lot of risk. And I mean gold as in, there's bullion, there's producers, there's things like that. Just the gold sector in general, where however you want to play it. I like producers, I don't go to the derivatives, I like physical bullion, as you guys could tell just by looking at the top of my safe here. So I think it should be replacing bonds because there's not really much upside. Bonds aren't really meant to be invested in for capital gains. It's a way of getting income over time, but you're not really getting income with the yields this low. Gold is like, I kind of see it as a way to replace that. There's no lifespan of how long you hold it for. It's not like a bond like that. It's nothing like that. It's not a set amount of time. You could hold it however long you want. You could hold it for a year, 10 years, your entire life, 2 weeks. Doesn't really matter. It's yours. You own it just like anything else. You can sell it whenever you want. There's no expiration date on gold as there is with bonds. And as I said, that's basically one of the biggest upsides. That's also, it hedges yourself from inflation. If inflation picks up, it's like the yields on would be going up. But if you buy a bond, the yields are kind of fixed. That's where you're at. If you're buying a bond at 1%, but then you have 3% inflation, gold will account for that. Whereas bonds, they don't account for that. What you bought is what you get. That's why I see a lot more, just gold is being way more safe in your portfolio. There's no real reason to buy bonds nowadays, and for diversification, I just see gold as a far better option. Just my thoughts, just my opinions. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions. There's no real reason when there's no yield with gold, no dividend with gold. There's no real yield. It's a negative real yield with bonds, typically. Why would you invest there? I'd rather go with no yield than a negative real yield. This, at least the capital gains or whatever, would account for the inflation. It just makes so much more sense to me, especially because there's no expiration date on gold. Whereas bond yields, when you have to go into, you'll have to replace them, you'll have to buy new bonds every X amount of time, and we could be looking at real high rates soon. They might need to crank up rates if they can't control inflation. So I'd rather wait to buy any bonds. I wouldn't want to be buying bonds as a way to diversify from stocks and other asset classes, things like that. To me, it just makes so much more sense to buy gold as a diversification play, as an insurance basically, as a way to save. There's so many ways that you could use gold. You could actually kind of start a different stacks for different reasons, different purposes, which I think is real cool. I've kind of started doing that. Like the $10 a week challenge. That's a separate stack than any stack, like my main stack. I have my channel stack. Everything you guys sent me, it's kept off to the side. I do have 3 different stacks basically, but yeah, I'm starting to look into not so much just buying gold as a way to store wealth, a way to hedge yourself, but I'm starting to replace bonds, everything like that. I just don't see the point. I'm going to use that as a different stack for different purposes. I haven't bought bonds, I'm not really into that, and I just see it as, when comparing the two, to me, I just don't get the argument for bonds. I just don't get it. You might be locking in a set amount and everything, but if that set amount is lower than inflation, it's a negative real yield. It makes no sense to loan for a negative real yield. In my personal opinion, not a financial advisor, just a random guy on the internet. But let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. Please like, share, subscribe. Go and enter the giveaway that I have going on the end screen. Stay positive. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.